Hello, travelers, and welcome to Go See, Do, Explore.
Here, we dive deep into the heart of travel, sharing hidden gems, unforgettable experiences, and the stories that make each destination unique.
Whether you're a seasoned traveler or dreaming of your next getaway, you're in the right place to get inspired.
I'm Christopher.
And I'm Ashleigh.
And together, we'll set the course for your next great adventure and discover the stories that make each place unforgettable.
It's time to go, see, and do more. Let's explore. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Go See, Do, Explore. We are coming to you from Mexico City.
Yes, on location.
Unfortunately, this is not currently a video podcast.
No, but spoiler alert, we're going to try it. So if you prefer watching people talk to you, with maybe some occasional visuals, stay tuned because I think pretty soon we're going to give it a shot and see how it goes.
And that will be on YouTube, probably not on other podcasts.
No, that's the plan. The feed will remain audio only, but if you watch on YouTube, you can expect to see some video pretty soon, I think.
And we are using a new travel setup, so hopefully this all sounds good. It's been about a month since we have done our travel news, so we're going to get to it.
I don't know any of these.
Nope, that's the way I like it. Our first piece of news, I think, came as a surprise to some fans, loyal Southwest travelers.
Oh, this one.
Southwest no longer allows 2 free checked bags. This one we have discussed.
It's hard to miss this news if you pay any attention at all to the travel industry. Southwest for years has defied expectations of the industry at their price point by allowing 2 checked bags for free. And Southwest has been undergoing a lot of changes for the past, 6 months or so, maybe a little bit longer than that. But this was a shock and made a lot of people very angry.
I think they're going to lose a lot of their loyal Southwest flyers because of this, because I know a lot of people that say they choose Southwest because of the free bag allowance. We have never flown Southwest. You did a charter flight back in college.
That's true.
But never flew like the typical Southwest experience. So we can't really talk to that. It's never been the best deal coming from Detroit. And I mean, they didn't even show up in meta searches until recently.
So this is the thing that I read, which is really interesting. And from a numbers perspective, I think it tells a certain story that the human side of the story doesn't necessarily tell. So Southwest, until I think it was last fall, has not listed in meta searches, meaning that if you wanted to book Southwest, you had to go to Southwest's website, you had to call them, or you had to go to the airport and buy a ticket at the desk, right? Those were basically the 3 ways to purchase Southwest tickets. They changed that last fall, and they've been listing in places like Google Flights, Kayak, Skyscanner, Expedia, you name it, they're there now. And basically what I read is that their sales from those searches have exceeded their expectations pretty drastically. It's not that surprising to me, that like most people who book flights, that's how they book them.
Right. You don't start at the airline's website to book flights. We recommend that you do always book your flight directly through the airline so that you don't have to go through any second, third party if there's an issue. But that's not how most people typically look for flights.
Yeah. And so you think about it this way. Southwest has burned their loyal customers, and a lot of them won't book Southwest anymore, which puts Southwest in the position essentially of being like another low-cost carrier. And that's how a lot of the headlines read. But I think the gamble they're making is that their position as just another low-cost carrier is actually going to be better for them long-term than having a super loyal fan base, which sounds terrible, right? It just sounds awful. But loyalty is changing in the travel industry. Loyalty is not worth what it once was to the consumer or to the company. And with things like AI-driven dynamic pricing algorithms and stuff like that, the landscape is changing drastically. And so they're making this gamble basically to say we might lose a good chunk of our core customers, but we're gaining by being accessible in the marketplace far more than that, We'll see if it plays out that way or not. It's really hard to say, but I think that's the move that they're making.
But if you think about it, it works for Spirit and Frontier, because how many people do you talk to that book that Spirit or Frontier flight and then tell you how much they hate it? But they're going to book it again the next time. So like they don't really have a loyal customer base. Would you say 50% of people that book those airlines don't particularly like those airlines?
That sounds like a fine number to me. But what it doesn't factor in, and again, like this is an intangible thing, you can't really know. Does this tarnish Southwest's reputation? Like, are they going to be better than Frontier and Spirit at being Frontier and Spirit? That's the question. Like,
Is this going to be the final nail in Spirit's coffin? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying, like, can they do what Spirit does? Or will they still try to be Southwest, but without the things that made Southwest Southwest? It's a very hard transition for a company to make. And I don't know much about their current leadership and the wherewithal they have. Maybe they're geniuses and they're going to pull this off. Maybe it's going to be a horrible disaster. I think we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one for sure. Oh, we didn't even talk about, this isn't on my list, Frontier's attempt to steal loyal Southwest customers by offering a short-term sale where your bags fly for free.
This is not really news, but that was Frontier's response, was they did a sale that your bags would fly free, which fine, like I have no beef with that, but their marketing copy was really disingenuous because it was basically like how terrible that an airline would make you pay for checked bags, which like Frontier has done up until this sale and is going to continue to do as soon as this sale is over.
Pretty sure by the time this episode comes out, the sale will be done. Right. All the comments on those articles about that sale were pretty funny because everybody's like, well, Frontier will lose your bag anyway. But in other Southwest news, a Southwest Airlines plane almost takes off from a taxiway.
Oh, you mentioned something to me about this one too, yeah.
I did mention this. According to Southwest, a flight from Orlando to Albany, New York, stopped safely on a taxiway at Orlando International Airport after the crew mistook the surface for the nearby runway.
That's crazy. I don't even know what to say about that because a lot of aviation issues you can, I don't want to say explain away, but like it's usually a complex set of circumstances that lead to that. But like they're marked differently. They look different. How does that happen?
In a separate statement, the FAA, which is investigating the incident, said that the taxiway runs parallel to the runway the flight was supposed to take off from.
That's pretty normal. There's nothing weird about that. A taxiway has different markings and it's like narrower typically, and like it has the yellow markings, right? And a runway has the big hold short lines and it has giant numbers and it has a white stripe in the middle. Like they look different. Anyone who even has a private license would know the difference. I really don't know how that happens.
An air traffic controller at Orlando International Airport canceled the takeoff clearance for Southwest Flight 3278 around 9:30 a.m. local time on Thursday, March 20th, after the aircraft began its takeoff roll on the taxiway, the FAA said. According to Southwest, the passengers were accommodated on another aircraft. Why did they have to get off the plane? Did they use too much fuel, maybe?
Probably they had to run through pre-flight again, and maybe it was faster just to get... Maybe they had to detain the pilot. I don't know. Without knowing more than what you're saying, if there's more to this, I don't know what it is, but it just seems like that's maybe one of the weirdest ones we've heard.
Yeah, that's all that this USA Today article mentions. But yeah, of all the weird stuff that's been happening in U.S. aviation lately, that one's like, it seems like obvious pilot error.
And they have two people in the cockpit, right? How do both people make that mistake?
All right. For our next piece of news, London's Heathrow Airport was closed for, I want to say I read 18 hours earlier this month due to a fire nearby at a electrical substation.
I heard about this one too. Definitely messes up the system, right?
Right. This article says that 1,300 flights were affected by this closure. And as I said, it went on for quite a while. It wasn't like, we've talked before about ground stops at airports that last 30 minutes, an hour. This was like most of a day. So it could cause ramifications for days and days.
Not good.
No. But by the time this episode is released, the airport will have been open again for probably about a week. So hopefully everything will be back to normal. We did not notice anything in the Western Hemisphere. We were able to get down to Mexico City without any problems, but I'd imagine in Europe it probably will be a while before things are back to normal. In another piece of airline news, I think you'll find this interesting. TAP, which is the national airline of Portugal, and Avianca opened a co-branded lounge in Miami.
Oh.
Isn't that just so odd? When I saw the headline, I was like, that's
it's
weird.
It's interesting because neither of those are low-cost carriers, but they're kind of like, can you say medium-cost carriers?
Is Avianca a national airline or no?
Avianca is the national airline of Colombia.
So they're two national airlines from two very different parts of the world.
Yeah. You know, I could see Portugal and Brazil or something like that, right? They have a language in common, something like that. I don't know. Are they both like Star Alliance, maybe? I don't think TAP is in any of the alliances.
I don't know, but I do know, I don't remember if it was last month or the month before, we talked about how Avianca was increasing its presence in the U.S. and specifically in Florida. So it makes sense to me. I guess this lounge has existed in Miami, but it closed in 2020 for renovations. Before it was just an Avianca lounge. And now I guess TAP is getting in on it. And it is TAP's first lounge outside of Portugal.
Cool. TAP and Avianca are both in Star Alliance. So there's the common thread for you. So probably if you have a United status or British Airways or one of those, you can probably use this with your ticket too.
It is located in Concourse J of the South Terminal. Offerings include dedicated workspace, a children's play area, relaxation area, and showers. Food and beverage offerings will include Portuguese food and drinks, such as pastéis de nata and vinho verde.
Okay, I'm there. When in Miami.
When in Miami, you enjoy your good Portuguese food.
That's right. Oh, I mean, I enjoy good Portuguese food anywhere.
That is true. Our next piece of news, Skyscanner has a new feature called Drops.
That sounds terrible.
It's like dump dinners. It just has a funky connotation.
I don't even know what this is, but I already want to say get a better name, Skyscanner.
I think you're going to like it, though.
Okay, I'm sure I'll like the feature. Tell me.
So you can set a chosen airport, and they will notify you when flights drop 20% from their lowest price over the last 7 days. So it's a way to help you find cheap airfare.
Yeah, I like that. I find for us, as much as I like those features, our schedule is a little bit too rigid to oftentimes take advantage of that. I already use Skyscanner as one of my principal tools for flight searches. You can listen to any number of episodes where I've discussed that. So I'm sure I'll go in there and... Is it live now? Can I go play with this after we record?
I don't see a date. It says newly launched.
So it's probably there?
Yeah.
And if you haven't, I mean, that's certainly not an ad, but if you haven't tried Skyscanner, I would check it out. It's really popular and it works really well. It's a good tool.
The drops refresh every hour to show most up-to-date deals for flights on multiple dates, so you can browse last-minute flights and those with more planning time. A spokesperson from Skyscanner said prices are dynamic and ever-changing, and so they say that Wednesdays are the best day on average for their drops, if you will, but it's not the only day. And this article goes on to list destinations that drop the most in airfare. And I totally agree. Number 1, San Juan.
Yeah, that's a really volatile one.
It is. You can see that go up and down and like crazy. And also the same with number 2, Orlando.
Yeah, certainly.
Those are 2 routes that we have looked in the past. Number 3, Las Vegas. 4, Miami. 5, New York. 6, Tokyo, which makes sense. That's, I think, the only international one on this list.
Actually, I've seen a lot of inexpensive Tokyo flights now and then, so that makes sense.
Number 7 is Denver. 8 is Los Angeles. 9 is New Orleans. And 10 is Fort Lauderdale.
That all tracks.
So yeah, check out Skyscanner's new Drops feature.
It just needs a better name. If you've listened to recent episodes, you know how I feel about this, like, best day for whatever. Without having done the statistical analysis to back this up, I'm going to say it's one of those past performance does not indicate future results kind of a thing, where like you could look back and find what the day was for a given period that things were cheaper, but there's nothing in that, in my opinion, that indicates what it will be in the future. Like, it's more just like random what it was, you know. And there will be a day that will be cheaper, but that doesn't mean that there's causation or like predictability.
Well, that's why it's nice to have a feature like this that will look out for that for you, so you don't have to do all the searching yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
And I like that. I mean, we haven't played around with it, but just from what I read, it sounds like you can find last minute deals, or you can like set a date for the future when you're looking to travel.
Yeah,
so
that's nice too. That will make it more useful for me.
Yes. I think it's probably time to go to a wine break.
Let's go to a wine break. Okay, we're here for the wine break. This is one of those wine breaks where we're not actually going to drink wine, unfortunately. And the reason for that is that we are in a hotel room in Mexico City in the Centro Histórico. And
we don't have any wine or corkscrew.
We don't have any wine in this room, but we have had some wine recently. We've had some good Mexican wine. Have we ever talked? We've never talked about Mexican wine on the podcast for a wine break, right?
Like, why don't we just use this to talk about Mexican wine?
I think I absolutely reserve the right to talk about it again with a bottle. But Mexican wine is awesome. And that might come as a shock to you for a few reasons. First of all, if you live in the United States anyway, you probably haven't encountered it unless you've gone to a restaurant that would have it.
Right. Some high-end Mexican restaurants in the U.S., you can definitely see it. We've had it at Frontera in Chicago. I think, is that the only place we've ever found Mexican wine in the U.S.?
No, Vecino in Detroit for sure.
I just responded in Spanish.
So you may not have encountered it. Mexico is pretty hot, so you might not think it is necessarily great for grape growing. Mexico, oftentimes also in the United States, doesn't have the greatest reputation for quality, which is misplaced. It's not that there aren't cheap and bad things in Mexico, but there are also cheap and bad things in the United States and in other places too. Anyway.
I don't know if you want me to say this now, but I've never had bad Mexican wine.
That's true.
I mean, it could be that the places we're going wouldn't serve it. We have not encountered it.
All this to say, the reason why you probably haven't heard of or encountered Mexican wine in the United States is because Mexico doesn't produce all that much wine. There are only really a few regions that support viticulture very well, and they consume in Mexico almost everything they produce.
Yeah, I want to say when we were in the Valle de Guadalupe, they said something like 90 or 95% of it stays in Mexico. It was a very high percentage.
Mexico's wine growing regions tend to be in areas that are higher in elevation because that helps, I think, offset some of the climate. Higher elevation means a little bit cooler at night, especially, which is really important. Grapes for wine really love what's called diurnal temperature, which is heat during the day and cold at night. That makes like a better tasting wine. And so we've only been to Valle de Guadalupe, but there are others too, a few other regions.
Our tour guide today gave us a recommendation of a place. I don't know if we're gonna have time to check it
we'll
out.
Have to come back probably. Just outside Mexico City, apparently it's a beautiful place. There are a lot of Italian grapes here. Nebbiolo is an excellent grape in Mexico. The reason why Nebbiolo is so prevalent is because a lot of the first winemakers in Mexico were Italian. Now, when the Spanish came here, they did cultivate grapes. And in Valle de Guadalupe, we know that that was true. But a lot of that effort was largely abandoned until Italian immigrants came and planted in the same places. So I guess it's more accurate to say that Nebbiolo is one of the principal grapes of the second birth of wine in Mexico. So that's one we really love. We've had some great rosés here. We've had some great white wines, like we have Sauvignon Blanc, Cetto, which is in Valle de Guadalupe. But we went to a restaurant a couple nights ago, Azul Histórico. It was really good.
They're known for their moles.
Yeah, an amazing mole there. But we had Nebbiolo from Valle de Guadalupe. It was not Cetto.
The rosé I had was Cetto.
Right, but it was from Valle de Guadalupe, and then you had that rosé. What did you think of the rosé?
Oh, it was just great. Honestly, it was like everything I love about a Provence rosé. Very like light and floral.
Tastes like strawberries and smells like strawberries. I thought that right away when I tried it too. I thought, wow, this is like a Provence rosé. And then the Nebbiolo I had was also like very light and great with Mexican cuisine, because when you have a lot of like spicy or very flavorful food, a light-bodied red wine is kind of the perfect wine, at least in my opinion. Anyway, we hope to talk more about Mexican wine, maybe with a bottle, maybe even next episode. We'll see. But for
We'll
now,
see if we're able to pick any up.
go to a specialty wine shop in your area, or a liquor store or someplace, and just talk to them about Mexican wine and see what they're able to get in your state.
I would definitely look for Cetto.
I think they're the biggest producer in Mexico, I want to say.
That sounds right. I think Chris mentioned that we visited when we did our wine tour of the Valle de Guadalupe from Ensenada a few years ago. And their wines are just phenomenal. They did tell us there that you can pick it up if you are in California. Apparently, some of their wines can be purchased at Costco.
Yeah, they also said that they don't really know how they end up at Costco.
That's true. They did say that. So it's possible that's not true anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
Someone from Costco is smuggling it across the border. Who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, that's it for our wineless wine break today.
All right, we are back to our travel news, and we're going to talk railroad for a minute.
Okay.
The Rocky Mountaineer in the United States will be changing its name to Canyon Spirit.
Oh.
Basically, I think to differentiate it from the Rocky Mountaineer in Canada.
But Canyon Spirit? Really? What is this, like a cigarette or something like that?
But what's interesting, the Rocky Mountaineer, what they call the Rockies to Red Rocks, it takes 2 days to go from Denver, Colorado to Moab, Utah, where they let you off and you have to make your way back to Denver, or you just have to get somewhere from Moab, which is not, while it is the gateway to the 5 national parks of Utah, it's not the most connected of places. And so this new idea is going to extend the journey from Moab to Salt Lake City. So you'll go from Denver all the way to Salt Lake City, and they're adding a 3rd day. You can begin in Denver or Salt Lake City, and your overnights will be both in Glenwood Springs and Moab. You do have the option, if you want to explore the national parks of Utah, to end at Moab like it's traditionally been done. But what's interesting about this is, while this is a very expensive journey, the current 2-day version starts at around $1,700. The new 3-day version is more than that. It's going to be $2,100. It's still luxury priced, and it's still all inclusive, but I just think it makes it kind of interesting, and I don't think it's something we're going to do anytime soon. But I just thought it was an interesting idea that they're expanding it and making it a little bit more transportation friendly, I guess. The new Canyon Spirit will debut to Salt Lake City in 2026.
In addition to the logistical conveniences, I wonder if raising the price a little bit but extending the trip a little bit gives them a better position as far as value for money, and maybe opens up to some people that wouldn't have booked previously because it seemed extravagant for 2 days. It looks like a lot of fun. I really don't like the name Canyon Spirit, I have to say. I mean, what do I know? Like, I've never named anything like that.
You're not a marketer.
Yeah, so this is me, a person with unqualified opinions, but I don't like it. It reminds me of American Spirit, which is like the cigarettes the UPS driver I used to work with smoked all the time.
That's obscure.
Yeah.
What's very interesting to me about this is that when we did the California Zephyr, so this runs on the same track as the California Zephyr, which is much less expensive. It's about that same price to go all the way from Chicago to California for 2 people in a sleeper car. This is going to be much more comfortable than that, obviously, but we were significantly delayed. So maybe we would have, if it wasn't for that however many hours we spent in Granby.
I mean, we were like, 5 hours delayed when we got in? It wasn't a ton.
Well, right, but it makes a difference between getting to see Utah and not getting to see Utah.
Yeah, that's true.
So basically, we hit the Colorado-Utah border. I think it was right about sunset. We really didn't get to see this, which would be really nice to see on the Canyon Spirit, if you will. We didn't see any of this track. I was also exhausted and went right to sleep.
The Rocky Mountaineers, like, that's what they pitch in general, and they do the same in Canada for that route, is all of the riding is during the day so that you see everything that there is to see, and then you go sleep in a luxury hotel at night. It's pretty cool. It's a cool idea.
When you think about that price and getting 2 nights in a luxury hotel and all inclusive on the train, it said cocktails are included. Like, it's not that expensive.
It's expensive, but it's good value. I would
Right.
put it that way.
Per person, that's pricey.
For that money, you could do a lot worse.
Our next piece of news was about a fire at Walt Disney World.
That was just like a couple days ago.
Yes. March 23rd, there was what was called into 911 as a small trash fire in Epcot in the France Pavilion. There were no injuries reported, and they evacuated everybody off of Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. But the pictures and the video I saw, that was not a small trash fire.
Maybe it started as a small trash fire. It definitely escalated.
Yeah, you could see the smoke from the Skyliner. So I believe at time of recording, everything is back opening and, as normal. But I just thought it was interesting. It's not very often that there's a fire in Walt Disney World.
No.
Our next piece of news, I'll have more to say. Time Out magazine listed its 20 best cities for food right now.
Detroit's on there.
I actually didn't read all 20. I only saw the first one and I thought it was interesting.
Okay.
Do you want to guess? It's not Detroit.
Okay, so it's not Detroit. Can you give me...
It's in the U.S.
Austin?
No, it's a place that I really want to visit this year.
Oh, New Orleans?
New Orleans is the #1 food destination in the world for 2025, according to Time Out magazine.
Is it because Emerald opened that Portuguese restaurant and they had bifana?
Can I tell you, people of the internet, that's part of the reason why I want to go to New Orleans?
Yeah. We're always on the hunt for Portuguese food, seriously. If you open a Portuguese restaurant anywhere, we'll try to get there.
So, of course, New Orleans is a real melting pot. They've got a rich culinary history with influences from France, Spain, Vietnam, Africa, and so much more. You've heard of po' boys, beignets. According to this article, if you must eat only one thing, it should be boiled crawfish.
We haven't had that.
My family used to live in, not New Orleans, but in Louisiana, and they had a crawfish boil for us one time, and I was too scared to eat it. I think they made me a hot dog. I'm much more adventurous than I used to be.
You were a child.
I wasn't like a baby. I was in high school. I should have been eating. I shouldn't have been afraid of it. All right, I'll keep going down the list just quickly here because I think this probably could have been a whole episode on its own. Number 2 is Bangkok. Number 3 is Medellin in Colombia.
I think I've seen flights there now that you mentioned that one.
On Avianca, perhaps?
Maybe. I don't know if like Spirit flies there or one of the low-cost carriers flies there, but I feel like I've definitely seen flights there.
Number 4 is Cape Town, South Africa.
Yeah, I want to go. Really want to go. It's a long way. It's like about as far as you can go. No, I think Singapore is about as far as you can go, but it's far.
Apparently there's a restaurant in Cape Town called Boma. I'm just like constantly, as in our travels, I am surprised by how many Disney influences we find.
Meaning that Disney has been influenced by.
Yeah, of course. But I guess I thought that these were all just made up names. So in Mexico City, there's a restaurant called the San Angel Inn in San Angel, Mexico City.
It's a neighborhood in Mexico City.
Yeah, and apparently there's a very fancy restaurant there. And there's also one in Epcot.
No volcano or...
Well, there is a volcano outside of Mexico City.
Well, right, but like not in the restaurant.
No, but you can probably see it.
And there's no boat ride with the Three Caballeros.
No, I don't think there's that. Number 5 is Madrid.
If you like ham and eggs and potatoes, which I do.
Yes.
That's the place to go.
Number 6, where we are currently in Mexico City.
It has been amazing. I mean, spoiler alert, we're going to talk about this at length on another episode, but it has been an incredible couple of days of eating, for sure.
They recommend a torta de chilaquiles.
We're going to do that in a couple of days. When we move to Roma Norte, we're going to have the torta con chilaquiles.
Number 7 is Lagos, Nigeria.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
No, but reading this, it sounds interesting. Well, I will definitely put a link to this article in the show notes for you. Because, there's places here that I don't know much about. Number 8 is Shanghai. They talk about soup dumplings, which I am a big fan of.
Yeah, those are great.
Number 9 is Paris. And number 10 is Jakarta. It says numerous ethnic groups across Indonesia have left their mark. Dutch, Chinese, Arab, and Indian cultures come together.
That sounds good.
I will move on to the next news article, and if you are interested in that, definitely check out that article because it keeps going. There's many more. All right, so I believe it was in the last article I talked about how they increased the fee to climb Mount Everest. They are now increasing the fee to climb Mount Fuji. Do you remember how much it costed to climb Everest?
No, I don't remember.
Wasn't it like $100,000 or something? It was a lot of money.
It was.
Mount Fuji, it is up to 4,000 yen, which is about $27. Before it was 1,000 yen. So it's gone up 4 times. The additional money is just going to help them keep the mountain and the surrounding areas clean. Apparently, it is known as a trash mountain.
Oh, no.
So you don't want that.
No. $27 seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, and actually, I misread this. It is a double. So 2024 was the first year of this fee. This is a doubling of the fee. So it was 2,000 before. Okay. Before that, it was just a suggested donation of 1,000. So that's where the 1,000 came from.
Gotcha.
I apologize for the confusion. So if you are looking to climb a mountain, maybe do Mount Fuji instead of Mount Everest.
Yeah,
Just
I think those are probably in different classes as far as what it takes to get that done. Do Fuji first, still into it. Maybe there are still some other mountains you might want to try before you go to Everest. I feel like Everest takes a lot of preparation, training. And
Mount Fuji is more economical.
Mm-hmm.
So that is our travel news for this week. And be sure to stay tuned and we'll tell you all about Mexico City. Thanks for listening.
Thanks. Bye. That's all for today's episode of Go, See, Do, Explore. Thank you for joining us and sharing in the wonder of travel.
Keep the spirit of today's adventure alive by checking out our blog at goseedoexplore.com for even more travel inspiration.
Don't forget to rate and review us wherever you listen to your podcasts. It really helps fellow travelers find us and join our community.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and keep traveling by any means necessary.
I'm Christopher.
And I'm Ashleigh, bidding you farewell and happy exploring.